Hello everyone and welcome to today's Deliverance Reign video. Today we're going to be looking at the level up bonuses for the vampires. You start off at level 1, but once you get to level 2 you unlock an alternative path for Nima, who's your main legendary champion. Let's take a quick look at what the two choices are that you can start from. The first option is to summon a random presence whenever you are brought onto the board. The alternative is to gain one attack whenever a minion is fed. Let's take a quick look at the three presences that you could possibly summon. The first is Dark Presence, where at the end of your turn you will add a blood to your hand. Each of these presences take up one slot, just bear that in mind. The next up is the Unholy Presence, where if Nima dies while this is alive, she gets restored to full HP and this gets destroyed instead. And the final one that you can get is called the Cold Presence, where Death Wish give Nima 20 armor. If you don't have any available slots to summon these, then you won't be able to summon them. As you progress through the game, you can look to upgrade Nima. You can choose to maximize your presences, where you'll summon all three eventually, or you can maximize the attack you get, so you can get +3 attack whenever a minion is fed, or you can mix and match, so you'll either summon 2 presences and gain 1 attack, or 1 presence and gain 2 attack whenever a minion is fed. At level 3, you unlock 3 new cards: Vampire Bat Handler, Royal Vampire, and Emergency Blood. The Vampire Bat Handler is a 10/12 2-slot 1 mana minion where fed you summon a Vampire Bat, and if you don't feed it, it will destroy all other friendly minions in the lane and become fed at the start of your next turn. The Vampire Bat is a 5/5 1-slot Frenzy, add a blood to your hand, and every turn you can basically summon one of these if you have the space for it. As you can see here, he's quite a big minion. I like to place it on the middle lane or the bot lane, and I like to make sure that he has enough space to be able to keep summoning Vampire Bats. If you get him there early, you can easily have 2 or 3 Vampire Bats in the lane. The next card is Royal Vampire, a 1 mana 8/8 Pride. At the start of your turn, draw a card. Pride only activates when you're the only minion there. She's quite a basic minion. It's very rare to get value out of it, so I don't think there's much to her. And finally, Emergency Blood, which is actually one of your starting cards. You have loads of them in your hand. I don't know why you'd ever need more of them, but you unlock the ability to pick them. At level 4 you unlock new minion and spell upgrades, but we'll skip past those and go straight to level 5 where you unlock 3 new cards: Starving Vampire, Vampire Butcher, and Moon Alignment. Starving Vampire is a very tricky card to master. It's got loads of effects: Pride, multi-strike 1, so if it's the only minion it will gain multi-strike. If you feed it, it will give it full health, and if you don't feed it, it gains attack but loses 10 health. It's very hard to get this minion to be super strong, but the tactic I use here is I leave them at the back of the middle lane, lead them for a few turns to lose a few health, lead them unfed, get them maybe down to maybe 10 HP, then I'll feed them, get them back to full health, and try and repeat that as many times as I can before the end of the game. The idea being to put them at the back, unless there's obviously a boss with sniping it, is that the front 2 mobs will die. That will then give the Starving Vampire Pride, and hopefully they'll be strong enough to be able to do a lot of damage to the boss. The next card is Vampire Butcher. Unfed, add a blood to your hand and lose 2 HP, and Death Wish, add 2 blood to your hand. It's a 1 mana 1 slot 8/8. I like this card a lot. He's quite easy to fit onto a board, and he's a reliable way to make sure that you have blood in your hand the next turn. If you look at your draw pile and you're not certain that you're going to draw blood and you need one, you can just leave this guy unfed and you can guarantee to get one later on. His good stats, very similar to the Royal Vampire, but at least this guy has some useful function to him as well. He is an epic minion, so you may not see him very often, but when you do, I almost always pick him up. And the last card is Moon Alignment, which is probably the strongest card in the entire Vampire deck. Reduce the cost of all cards in your hand by 1 this turn. Pretty much every single card in the Vampire deck costs 1, except maybe like Feed on Prey or something else. So basically it means if you play this, all your cards are free. Make sure you play it in the right order though, because you may want to draw a card first, but it's never a bad time to play it. So for 1 mana here, I have 4 mana of cards in my hand, but I play this 1 mana card, and the rest of my hand is free. It's incredibly powerful. I always like to have at least one in my deck if I can find it. It's only a rare spell, so you should find it on most runs. And it's whenever you draw it, it's almost always a good card. Because the one problem the vampires have is mana control. They don't seem to have any spells or abilities to give them more mana. So anything you can do to help yourself out is always worth it. And finally, at level 6, you unlock a new mystery event. As always, these mystery events are available for all characters in all games once you unlock it. This one's called Vampire Support, and if you accept the stone, it gives you a Fed +10/+10. This is really useful for the vampires because you're always feeding people. But if you get it on other heroes, I would not recommend picking it up because you don't normally have the ability to feed anything. So it's a bonus exclusively for the vampires, I would say. So thank you for watching today's video. I hope you found it very useful and enjoyable. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.